Camden Nurse's newest achievement is a first for the state of Maine. Beginning next year, Amanda Savage will become the first Mainer to serve on the American Nurses Association Board of Directors. Savage holds a Doctor of Nursing practice degree as well as a Master's in Education and is a registered nurse. Born in Machias and raised in Bangor, she did most of her schooling in state with stops at UNE, the University of Maine, and USM. She's now an assistant professor at UMaine while maintaining her clinical work at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center. With her term as president of ANA Maine winding down this fall, she was presented with the opportunity to run for the national at-large board position.
We tell our students, we tell our constituents, like, we're nurses, our voice matters. And so I put myself out there, I ran for the board, and I was elected for one of these positions. And as we know, the American Nurses Association is the pinnacle organization for nurses. It's the voice of 5 million nurses nationwide. And I get to bring the state of Maine's voice to that platform.
Dr. Savage's 2-year term starts in January. She says her priorities include equality, safety, and patient-centered care.